Ask Dan Schneider. A woman named Shirley asked me what my opinion is of poet John Milton and Paradise Lost. Well, Paradise Lost is one of those typically overrated pre-modern kind of works. As anyone who has read my poetry or criticism knows, there's a thing I call the metric fallacy, which is that what people in poetry call meter, the on-off sound, the binary sound that can produce things like tetrameter or iambs or whatnot, these things don't really exist. So when you read something like Paradise Lost, most of the people who will say that that's a great work of art or a great poem will point to this. If you look at the actual story, it's basically a retelling of biblical Genesis and Adam and Eve's expulsion from the Garden of Eden, and in that way, it's got some interesting points. It's been so many years, I don't remember the ways it slightly differs, I guess, from the Bible. Having said that, there's nothing that's particularly quotable. John Milton's best poetry came in a few of his sonnets that he wrote and in some of his shorter pieces. The Paradise Lost and then Paradise Regained actually, as I recall, Paradise Regained is significantly shorter, but it has a bit more action, as I recall. Um, that having been said, Milton was certainly better than John Dryden, who is the most famous poet of the 17th century in England. He's not as good as William Shakespeare, despite how overrated William Shakespeare was, but certainly the greatest poet of the 17th century is John Donne. If you compare Milton to Donne, there really is no comparison. Donne, who was actually a priest, I don't know if he was Catholic or Anglican at the time, but he was, a holy man. Uh, his takes in poetry are much more modern and much more secular in a sense, which is odd considering his profession. Nonetheless, certainly Milton has an important place and is an important poet, and Paradise Lost is an important work, if not a great work. So that's basically my summing up of Milton and Paradise Lost. You certainly should read it if you're into literature of the Western world, of the English language, and you want to know the background of things. But it's not a great work. It's not a work that's going to stay with you the way the greatest sonnets do.